Speaking of somebody who wants to get paid, former USC star Reggie Bush reportedly plans to sue the NCAA for defamation. Now, this is a lot of moving pieces, so everybody bear with me. I don't know if we have a graphic that kind of dictates this, but if we do, make sure we throw that up there. This is, quote, I believe this is from his lawyers. Quote, the lawsuit is based on the NCAA maliciously attacking Bush's character through a completely false and highly offensive statement that was widely reported in the media and substantially and irreparably damaged his reputation. Now, this all has to do with the fact that Bush attempted to have his 2005 Heisman Trophy reinstated. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the situation, Bush forfeited the trophy in 2010 after a 4-year extra benefits investigation determined that he and family members, while he was a student athlete at USC, accepted cash, travel expenses, and a home in the San Diego area where Bush's parents lived rent-free for more than a year, and for which they were provided $10,000 to furnish. Now, this has been something that we have constantly talked about. You know, every time I feel like the Heisman Trophy ceremony comes around, people say, give Reggie his Heisman back. And this is coming off the heels of the Johnny Manziel Untold documentary, where Johnny Manziel openly says that he got benefits and he was treated very nicely.
Made a lot of money off them trading cards.
While he was at Texas A&M, I believe.
Yep.
And he made a whole lot of cash off of his trading cards. You have to remember, Johnny Football, as he was called, was a movement at the time. Johnny Football, that's the money. And Johnny Manziel is currently still a Heisman Trophy winner. Never had to go ahead and give his Heisman back. So, Brandon, I mean, Reggie Bush was on the I Am Athlete podcast a little while ago. What do you make of all this? This has probably been one of the biggest stories in college football that has just never gone away.
There's a lot that I have to say, but Reggie said a lot, like you said on our show. We have a little video, and then we'll respond after.
Okay.
There's so many layers to my story, right? It's not just, oh, you know, he gave the Heisman Trophy back, or it's deep. It's way deeper than that. And these are things that I've never spoken about. I've never talked about. At the time period, first of all, I didn't want to give it back. I was forced to give it back because the Heisman Trust. So here's the thing. I never interviewed with the Heisman Trust, or we had a conference call. So they made a decision to take the Heisman Trophy based on a conference call. And based on, you know, some information that was given that they basically got through the NCAA. The issue with that is the NCAA didn't do their homework. I gotta be honest. I did not know when it would come back, but I knew at some point in time I was gonna get the Heisman Trophy back. It's a sloppy investigation. Everything about the investigation was sloppy. They didn't do their homework. They didn't talk to my parents. They didn't talk to any of our family members, anything. They just got information, hearsay information, from two guys. One guy's name is Michael Michaels. Another guy's name is Lloyd Lake. Both these guys are convicted felons, and the NCAA did not care to check their police record, did not care to put any value to the fact that maybe these dudes are trying to blackmail us. One of the dudes, Lloyd Lake, got a police record as long as the Cheesecake Factory menu.
Goddamn, he beat me.
Sorry, that last
That
point.
is a long menu, though.
Listen, yeah, right.
Menu.
This is what I would say. Watching that took me back into that moment, Ashley. We were looking at his eyes, and I was like, damn, I missed that in real time. Was he about to cry? Was he about to tear up? In that interview, that conversation, what I felt from Reggie was that this is extremely sensitive still to him. It hurts, it's painful, right? And we pressed him. You know, that's what I love about this forum. I love about this setting, like athletes sitting down with athletes, because you can have that type of banter. And we did it in a funny way where I don't know if it was shady, or I think it probably was shady being shady. But Shady's like, yo, bruh, so you ain't take no money, right? And Shady was like, I remember you picking me up. Yeah. He's like, I remember you picking me up on my visit in the Benz. What you talking about, right?
Nothing.
And so he stood on what he's been saying. And so it took me back into that moment. Look, Ashley, with all these things going on, you brought up Johnny Manziel.
Who did everything they alleged
correct.
that.
This is what I would say. The NCAA need to sue them their damn self. Y'all been taking advantage of young kids for how many decades? Y'all been making billions for how many decades? Come on, man. Even these coaches, y'all coaches been making millions of dollars for how many decades? You taking little kids out of where they coming from, they don't have nothing, and you mean to tell me, well, we're giving you a scholarship, but that ain't feeding me right now, but I'm feeding you. That ain't feeding my mom and dad, but I'm feeding you. And what do I mean by that? I got a scholarship. And when the cafeteria was closed at 6 p.m., 7 p.m., what am I eating? Not every school get this big per diem, right? Like now Reggie and the USC and some of those schools is different. It's school by school. But when you really look at the business surrounding the NCAA, y'all been crooks for a very long time. So give Reggie his Heisman back. I don't give a damn if he did it, if he didn't do it. Because we know what y'all been doing. And we know what y'all continue to do. And this whole NIL movement is only a Band-Aid over a bigger problem. What do I mean by that? There needs to be a union, because now what you're saying is, guys, y'all can go out there and make money. So now you got all these kids fitting for themselves, but they're still not participating in these huge network deals. They're still not participating in the concessions around the games. They're still not participating off of their jersey sales. That's crazy. So this is just the beginning of this. So Ashley, I'm gonna digress here, okay? I need to smudge. You got the smudge.
The sage.
You need to smudge me. You need to sage me. But the NCAA need to sue them damn selves. Their damn selves. Give back Reggie everything, please.
Well, I actually want to bring in JP here because JP is a Trojan. He went to USC, and it is interesting how people who went to USC, one of my best friends, Jesse, also is a Trojan, tell this story, and it's drastically different than the way the NCAA tells it. So, JP, I want to bring you in here. If you can go ahead and give us any insight to Reggie Bush's USC days and how the story that the NCAA wants us to believe and the story that the Trojans believe is drastically different.
Nah, the NCAA is fabricating almost everything. Reggie was an upstanding citizen. I don't believe he took any improper, anything that would breach or break the laws that the NCAA has in place. And I do love the point that you brought up. Johnny Manziel admitted on camera, without the statute of limitations being up, accepting money for autographs, and his Heisman is still in good standing. So this really sounds about white.
Well, listen, I appreciate you, JP, chiming in here. You're closer to this than Ashley and I, it seems like. What's the outcome here? What do you think? What are you predicting here?
The main thing he wants is to have his Heisman reinstated. It's kind of embarrassing when you're in the facilities at USC that him and OJ's cases are just empty, but they're sitting there, and it's kind of rude and disrespectful. Suing the NCAA gets him one step closer to having his actual Heisman reinstated, and I believe there's a good chance it'll happen.
It's actually insane when you hear that, and you hear that Reggie Bush, who is being accused of taking money and all these things, that there wasn't really a abundant amount or any proof to go ahead and determine that, has his Heisman case empty at USC along with O.J. Simpson. Just put that into perspective.
Right.
Reggie Bush and O.J. Simpson. It is a drastic fall off between what the crime does not fit the punishment for one of these guys. And I think we all know which one it is. At least I hope we do.
Defund the NCAA.
Okay, Kanye.
Actually,
we are going to go ahead